What do you want to see out there? What's your perfect world, Lloyd?
My perfect world is the dream that I think is toted by big corporations that they have no intent on capitalizing on, right? This idea that they truly, truly value diversity as a legitimate value add, which that would be my dream world, right? It's where the experiences of people with disabilities is not just seen as, equal or anything like that, is seen as unique, fruitful, a source of knowledge, a source of wisdom, that these ways of knowing and being are actively honored rather than accommodated.
I think my perfect world would mean that disability is nothing more or nothing less than a part of a person, and that we're set up to deal with whatever we all present to one another as we live our lives, and that there are no prohibitions and uh, no isolation, no institutionalization, no marginalization. That we simply are equipped to provide all that's needed to live full lives.
A perfect world would mean enough resources for everybody to feel safe and enough dignity to go around. One thing that is so important to me in my work and also like in the people that I work with is just like affording everybody else dignity, because being anti-ableist means like never making anyone feel like they're a burden. We have enough negative self-talk. It's hard enough to move through the world that wasn't built for us. We don't need to make each other feel bad as well. So I think for me, when I think about what a perfect world looks like, it's just adequate resources and adequate grace for one another. It's not some perfect built environment or a set of like policies and practices that like actually are universally accessible, because I don't think that that exists. What does exist though is being able to just like work with one another in good faith and good humor and really value each other as fellow humans in this world.
I hope that people with disabilities never have to hide, never have to be ashamed. They'd be included in everything. Like, for example, the music department, there have been difficulties with people that have hearing loss who want to be involved in the music department, and I make recommendations for them to make contact and support them so that no one feels ashamed or embarrassed about a disability that they have. I want the Stanford community always to be supportive of all people and support people of all disabilities and all abilities to be able to be involved in everything. If somebody wants to sing and be in the music department, if they need to have headphones, need to have hearing aids, that's fine. I don't want anybody ever to be ashamed of their disability. Um, and they say, I can't do this because of this particular thing. I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I want to honor people's choices of what they want to do. I want Stanford to have more connection with us, with people with disabilities in general. I want more diversity here and more access.
The perfect world is where you don't have to like drive your wheelchair around the back of the building to get in through the one accessible door. When you show up to work and people ask you like, what do you need to be successful, rather than you having to ask them for favors or beg for accommodations, where disability is something to be celebrated and sought after rather than a problem to be solved.
Trying to get to a world where every person can live a life of autonomy and dignity. A world in which, instead of being forced to live a certain way, people have the power to live a certain way. The power instead of force. I want the ideal world to be even better than I can imagine, even better than I can decide. One of the greatest limitation any human being can have is their imagination. I think that we cannot even fathom what an ideal world would be, but we have to try